Miranda in Los Angeles, California. How in the world are you?
I'm good. I just, as you know, California's kind of crazy right now with like everything political going on, and I just wanted to call and ask you, like,
Hold on,
I know
Miranda.
the elections.
Hold on, Miranda. I have no idea what you're talking about. California's crazy? Just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah, it feels like a zoo. It feels like an absolute zoo.
Yes, it's, and yeah, that's why I think I'm calling too, because I just, like, I know the election's almost over, but I think I'm 21 years old, and I was born and raised in California, and I am Christian, so I do lean more towards the conservative side, but I think I was just calling because I want to ask, like, how do I navigate through this? Like, and I've been having a lot of healthy conversations with people, but I've been having some hard conversations too with people who don't necessarily agree with me, and that is totally fine. But I just want to know, like, how do I talk to people who just don't want to hear it at all, or who don't want to sit down like adults and talk about, like, our differences?
Oh, you're not going to like my answer, but you just don't. Yeah, if people don't want to talk to you, if they don't have any interest in being friends with somebody that thinks differently than they do or has different experiences than they do, then you brush your shoulders off and you bounce. You know what I mean? Like, you're just going to end up beating your head up against the wall. Give me an example of something that's happened like that.
Well, I'm a very open person. Like, even though I am Christian and conservative, I'm like, hey, like, I want to hear you. I want to talk with you. So I'll sit down with somebody and we'll talk about it. But recently, one of my family members has gotten offended by my political view. And I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but like our president, I don't agree with everything he says, but I do like his views. I do like his policies. So I lean more towards him.
Okay.
And so I was trying to tell my cousin, hey, like, I like him because of this. And I was giving her good evidence, like policies, And she's like, oh, I don't want to hear it. And she called me a white supremacist. And I was like, oh, whoa. Like, I am not that at all. Like, I just like the way he thinks. Like, I like what he's doing, And she happens to also be African-American and Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
So she kind of got offended and said that, like, I feel a certain way towards African-American community, and I don't at all.
Sure.
So I think that was a hard conversation, and she hasn't talked to me, so I was like, okay. So I just kind of left it alone.
Sure.
But yeah, that's an example.
So I think it's important that at the end of the day, all you can control is you. And
yeah,
a way that I've adopted navigating the world, and this is new for me. This is just a few years old, and it's given me so much more empathy for the world and so much more peace in my life, and really, I think, made me a better dad and a better husband and a better community member, which is remembering that everyone around me, everyone, is fighting a secret battle every day. People have hurts in their hearts and their minds that I will never see, I will never experience, I will never know. And so when somebody says something like, you're a white supremacist, and you're thinking, no, I'm not, then you can do one of two things. You can choose to go to war with that person and put a stick in the ground and say, I'm going to die on this hill. Or you can say, man, that person has some experiences that I don't understand. That person's hurting. And I know that I'm not. But I also know that going to war with somebody doesn't change their heart. It just ends with a couple of bodies on the ground. And so instead of going to war, I'm just going to love that person. Or maybe once the smoke clears on that particular argument, I'm going to circle back and say, hey, walk me through what you meant by white supremacist, because I don't see myself that way. And does that make sense? And I know we're talking about an egregious thing here, but these kind of conversations have been going on for years and years and years, and they feel like they're at an apex. They're probably not, but everything feels so divisive. Everything. From what car you drive and where you live and what you wear and what you listen to, all of it has become so divisive. And so trying to solve what's in the heart and mind of somebody else, you just can't do. You are more than entitled to your beliefs and your opinions. That's what this great country's founded on, right? Mm-hmm. And that comes with the understanding that she does too. And other people can choose to not like you. That's totally fair. It hurts, but it's totally fair. Other people can choose to say your beliefs make you fill in the blank. They may not be true. They may not represent what's in your heart and mind, but we're in a place where people have free speech, and they're allowed to do that too. We've reached this madness apex where we're trying to control what other people think and what they say, and it's just gotten insane. It's gotten nuts, right? And
Yes,
so at the end of the day,
absolutely.
you can just control you, and the best thing you can do for the folks around you is just to respond in love, right? Mm-hmm. That's the lever you've got. Or you respond with a hammer, and I'll just tell you, people who respond with hammers often look like idiots. They don't solve the problem; they just make it worse, right? They just bring gasoline to a fireworks show, right? It just doesn't make any sense. And so, be open to listening to other people's perspectives. Invite other perspectives into your heart and mind. I think that's so important, man. And if someone doesn't want to be your friend, they don't want to be your friend, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I just had a hard time with it too because she is older than me. Mm-hmm. She's someone I've looked to for her experiences because she is a hard worker. She has a degree. She has done great for herself, but just a certain decision she's made in her life, I just don't agree with, and that's okay, And I've invited her to look into the Bible and talk with her and sit with her. Mm-hmm. And even when she was being rude to me, over text message, all I kept saying was I love her,
Sure.
But I just think in that situation, it was fine. It didn't really hurt me, but I was just disappointed,
Yeah.
And I think when someone's attacking you and you're trying to say you love them, it's wait, what?
Well, and you brought forth a really important point. Having any sort, I want everyone listening to this to hear this. Having any sort of delicate, nuanced, or even angry conversation, any sort of robust dialogue back and forth over text message is clinically insane. It's just ridiculous and dumb and stupid and pointless and idiotic. And I'm trying to think of all the words I can just rattling off the top of my head. It's just madness. Don't do it, right? Call somebody on the phone. If you want to talk politics, call them on the phone or sit with them in person. And if you're in Los Angeles, I think you probably have to be outside with a hazmat suit on, whatever that looks like for you. But have that conversation in person. Have it in person.
Yes.
Don't do it in text, because here's why. She may have been laughing the whole time. She may absolutely know you're not a white supremacist, and she's texting that because she's just trying to be funny, and you heard it in a way that hurts. Now, maybe not, probably not, but when you lose all context, when you just strip it away with thumbs and zeros and ones, zeros and ones, zeros and ones, right?
Yeah. If
don't,
I can say though, she was shouting profanity at me. So
well, there's always that too, right? Right. So clearly she may have been upset. But so much of that is mitigated when you have in-person conversations. When two people who disagree are sitting around a table, when two people are sitting around a blanket in a park somewhere, two people are going for a walk together, that's when you have real conversations. That's why the digital interactions have just jumped the shark. They're not even real anymore. It's insanity. So I would, with all of my heart and mind and soul, Miranda, I'd recommend you call her, say, hey, let's have a conversation in person. I'd love to get together. I'll buy the coffee. I don't even know if you're allowed to drink coffee in California anymore. But if you are, I'm just kidding. I'm just being ridiculous. But grab coffee and y'all get together and then talk about these differences and say, hey, you said this. And walk me through what you meant by that and let them explain. If you call somebody to have coffee and you're just ready, geared up, you have all these imaginary, ugly conversations and you're like, yeah. And then I'm going to tell her this and I'm going to tell her this. Man, then you're going in there for a fight. She'll feel it. She'll respond with a fight. And that meeting will be completely useless and pointless. So all you can control is you. When somebody doesn't agree with you, somebody has a different opinion than you, you can control you. And so just assume that other people have different experiences than you, different perspectives. Don't assume everyone around you is dumb. I've got a group of guys right now that I've known for years and years and years. And we have some text threads that we exchange. We've got some articles that we go back and forth. It's Michael and Kevin, two guys that I love. And I give permission to speak into my life. And we disagree on a lot of stuff. But I also know beneath those disagreements, those are two guys that love their families, they love their country, they love their neighborhood, they love their church, they love the least of these in their communities, and they work really, really hard at their jobs. They're good, solid men. And that means we're anchored in, and now we can rappel off the side in an exchange of ideas, an exchange of disagreements, and we're all going to do that safely, and we're all going to do that with character and with love. And I also want to challenge everybody to do this. You only learn from people who have different ideas than you. And if you just seek a constant stream of confirmation about what you already believe, about what you already think you know, you are not stretching yourself. You are not learning. It's like going to the gym and lifting weights that you know you can already lift. You're never going to get stronger. You're never going to get in better shape. You're never going to get more fit. You're just going to become this echo chamber of opinions that don't go anywhere. So here's a couple of my rules. Rule number 1, have friends that think differently than you do. Have friends that look differently than you do. Have friends, and I'm not talking about acquaintances. I'm talking about close friends that sit at your table, that live differently than you. Because you're going to find out that most of the time, there's a shared humanity that is much greater than any difference you're going to have. Much, much greater. You're also going to realize that some of your opinions that you hold so tight and so dear to are wrong. They're just incorrect. And sometimes if you're like me, you're going to have to look backwards at a wake of people that you have hurt over the years or you've given incorrect information to over the years. And you're going to have to apologize in your heart. If you still know those people, you're going to have to apologize to them. And then you're going to have to work really hard to do better. You have to really, really hard to do better. Maya Angelou says, do the best you can. And then when you know more, then go do better. And the only way you can know more is by being around people who think differently than you do. The second thing is read different things. Read books that challenge you. If you are entrenched in this position, find a book, find not articles because those can be nonsensical sometimes. Find books can too, but find respected literature, find fiction, find things that make you uncomfortable politically, ideologically, and read them. Read them. And some of it is drivel. Some of it is just nonsense. It's just vomit on old sheets of paper, right? But some of it really will challenge you. And it will cause you to go back to your original sources. So if you're a person of faith, whatever your faith trajectory is, it's going to go back to your, whether it's the Bible or the Quran, you have to look at that and say, I thought this, the science is saying this author gives a compelling argument. Let me go back and see if I read this wrong or if I felt this wrong. I'm going to go back and call people. I meet with 1 or 2 people every single week and say, hey, I had these thoughts this week. I don't know if they're right. You're wise. You're studied in these areas. Let's dig in. But the point is I intentionally put myself with ideas that I don't agree with, that are different from me, because that's the only way I'm going to learn. That's why when I go to the gym at my house, I constantly am adding heavier weight so that I can get stronger. I'm constantly looking up wackier workout programs so that I can get more limber. My body can move better as I get older. I'm constantly trying to find people who are parenting better than me, who are being better husbands than me. I want to surround myself with people who are doing things different so I can grow. You've got to do that too. Get out of the echo chambers. In our phones, our news cycles, our digital media, it's built to give us just the things that we already think. So you've got to be intentional about reading things that you disagree with, about listening to things you disagree with, about reading, about being around people you disagree with, and you're going to find yourself a more robust person. Trust me. Just do it. Do it, do it, do it. And make sure you seek wise counsel, because when you are not a person of ideas, that old G.K. Chesterton quote, when you're not a person of ideas, any new idea sounds sexy and cool and like, woo, let's go jump into this one, right? Man, there's so many when it comes to diet and nutrition and climate. There's all, it's going to be this, and everybody just jumps off this, and then the scientists are like, hey, that's not really accurate. We're over here. So have wise people, right? Have wise people who are learned, they know what they're talking about, and not somebody who just reads a couple of editorials or a couple of clickbait things on Yahoo News or whatever. But be around wise people who think differently than you. I'm going to quit ranting on that because I talk about that all day.